What is up, and welcome back. My name is Brady. This is Be All in Sports. We are going to kick off the next week of UFC fights. We're going to discuss the Vettori and Dolidze two-fight card coming up. Should be a decent fight card. There's some newcomers coming in that I'm pretty interested to see. But first, we will go ahead and give you that rundown of last week. We had a good week. It was 8-2. Now, I apologize for my complete mishap on the presentation. I went to the different screen, and when I went back to actually watch this stuff after I put it up, it was completely blank on the graphics. So that was my bad. I apologize. I'll try and get that right this time. And if not, then I'll go ahead and watch it this time before and not put some crap up like I did the last time. But if you did listen, you did hit some picks. All the parlays that I gave you, they were good to go. I think we missed like one, and that was just some stupid shit that didn't really matter anyway. But the rest of them, they did hit. I don't know why sometimes my light's making me look like Terminator over here, but it is. So try and get that right for next time. But we're going to go ahead and break down this upcoming card. We're going to run through this thing pretty quick. I didn't do the live stream this last weekend. I ended up kind of watching it elsewhere. Wasn't around in order to do that. So we'll see how this week goes. I might do one, or I don't know. We'll see. I kind of playing it by ear right now, and we'll see how we go. But we will get right into this next card. We got some pretty interesting fights coming up. Like I said, we have to start off the card. We got Yanesi Dubin taking on Carly Judice. Yanesi Dubin does come in at 6-0, and Carly Judice, I believe, 3-2. The competition that they both fought is pretty low level across the board. Not much to speak of. Yanesi Durbin she is coming from the Contender Series, where she did have that impressive win there. I believe it was a first round knockout that she got. Carly Judice as well isn't too bad. She has her moments. She is coming off 2 losses. She did lose to Ernesta Karakate in the Contender Series, and then got a chance in the UFC and did lose a split decision to Gabriela Fernandez. But overall, I feel like when I watch these two fight, Yanesi Dubin is fighting some people that look like they are absolutely afraid to throw down. And I don't know, one of the fights that I saw, the corner threw in the towel, and this girl just didn't look like she even wanted to be there from the get-go and was just taking an ass whipping. And Carly Judice, on the other hand, she's got a decent style. I think she's going to be the better striker out of the two in the cage. So I'm just going to go with what I see on tape. I don't think Yanesi Dubin is going to be able to get Carly Judice out, and I don't know if she can go 3 rounds, keeping up some type of pace that I've seen her in some of her other fights. I don't know. We'll see. But this is definitely going to test her a little bit more, I think. So I'm going to pick Carly Judice in this. I think she's got the ability to get this one done. Next up, Jose Nunez taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. This will be a decent fight. I'm not big on either one of these ladies, really. If Cachoeira is kind of a punching bag when she gets in there. She's had her moments in the UFC. She's definitely going to have the more experience out of these two. But Jose Nunez is a little powerhouse. She's definitely going to have a size disadvantage in this one to Cachoeira, but I'm not so sure that that's going to matter, just for the simple way that she comes in and approaches her shots and the way she throws it out there. She's going to come in with some looping overhands, and Cachoeira hasn't proven that she's that great at handling stuff like that. I don't think this is going to be a fight that she's going to be able to necessarily get to the ground if she chooses. And like I said, she's been a punching bag for the majority of her career. So I got to go with what I see in this one as well. I'm going to take Josiane Nunez to win this one and get this done. I would say that this more than likely is going to be one of those fights that goes to decision. So my bet is not going to be on either side, because when you put it into the judges' hands, you never know what you're going to get. That could be the same as with the first fight as well. Don't really feel comfortable necessarily putting it on one of those ladies, but fight may be going the distance there. I don't know. I know both of these ladies can be dangerous, but I also think they're extremely tough, and I'm not sure that either one of them is going to be able to put each other out. So I'm going to go the distance here on Nunez versus Cachoeira, but I think Nunez is going to put out the volume. I think she's going to get it done. Moving right along, Daniel Bairez taking on Andre Lima. Bairez is the older fighter in here, and anytime you're starting to get up in your late 30s as a bantamweight fighter, I always have to start questioning. But when I'm watching the tape on Bairez, he does look good. He doesn't look like the it's necessarily affecting his speed. He may actually probably have a little bit of a speed advantage in this one when they come out, but I feel like Andre Lima is one of those fighters that the harder you push him and the more you come at him, the more he is going to kind of up his game. And I think that's what we're going to see here. Bairez does come out storming sometimes and can get you kind of backing up a lot. And Andre Lima can be comfortable doing that, looking for counters. I think this is a matchup that is going to come down to Bairez probably throwing more volume, but I think Andre Lima is going to hit him with harder shots. I think he's going to have more ways to win. I don't necessarily know that he's going to be able to get this fight to the ground and keep it to the ground, but I could see him getting a couple takedowns just to turn the score in his favor. Ultimately, the one thing that I am worried about is just the complete volume of Bairez, if he can keep up a volume that Lima can't keep up with, and just completely peppers him the whole night, which I think that's going to be his best method, is to get him up against the cage, continue to push forward and just pepper him with body shots and mix it up really well. Go for those takedowns, at least attempt the takedowns, get him thinking that that's going to be one of your things there. But ultimately, I cannot go against I can't go against the fighter that's coming in 10-0. He hasn't proven that he's weak in any particular game, piece of the game yet. He is going to have a little bit of a size advantage here. I just think that he's going to be the better fighter. We're talking about a 10-year age gap, and I think he hits pretty hard. So I'm going to go with Lima here, but be careful with this one. This is one of those that it could go either way, and I definitely, if it does go to the decision, you never know how the judges are going to score that if Bairez does end up out-voluming Lima. But in the end, I think Lima is going to have too many ways to win. I could see him getting this done. I could see him getting this done late, but I ultimately, like I said, I do think this is going to go the distance with Lima getting his hand raised. Next up, Carlos Vera taking on Josiah Musasa. Vera is another one of those fighters that is up there in age. He's in that lower weight limit, a 135er, and I believe he's 37 years old, almost 38, which, you know, I'm not saying he didn't look terrible in his last fight. But the one thing that you got to understand is he is a submission specialist, and he's going to be going for submissions. And look at this dude over here. I mean, my God, I don't think he's going to be able to wrap it up, so to speak. I don't think he's going to be able to I don't think he's going to be able to have advantages where this fight needs to go in order for him to get it done. And I think Musasa is going to be too much when he gets him on the ground, or if it stays standing, I think Musasa is going to be he's going to be the more dangerous fighter in this. So even though the odds are pretty wide, Musasa is coming off of that Contender Series, and there were some holes in the game. He didn't come in and just blow you away by any means, but they also picked this partner pretty well, I think. And they know that they're going to have to bring him along slowly and build him up if they want him to continue being successful in the UFC. So I do think that Vera is going to have some problems here. I think his main method for victory is either decision or possible submission, and I just don't see it happening with Josiah Musasa. I think this goes to the distance because Vera hasn't proven that he's got a weak chin or anything like that. And Musasa, I'm not sure that he's got the knockouts just yet. So maybe something to build on. Otherwise, Vera's a good fighter. Musasa, we'll see what he's made of, but I just think the strength is going to be too much in this one. I think Musasa is going to be able to get it done. Next up, Dayar Nergozi taking on Brinson Ribeiro. I don't know if I said that right, but we'll go with it. This is a fight. When I watch Dayar Nergozi, I'm not necessarily sure I'm blown away. I do think he's very durable, and I think he's very tough, and he's going to continue to walk forward. And I think in this particular fight, that's probably going to be a problem for Ribeiro. Ribeiro is kind of that he's got the movement, and he likes to kind of confuse you, go back and forth, get that side to side going, and continue to kind of puzzle you. I just don't think it's going to be happening with Nergozi. I think he is going to continuously walk you down and create that limited space where you're going to have no room to move. And even though I'm not necessarily blown away by the power of Nergozi, I do think he can get this done, but I think it's going to be later. I think that this is going to be one of those that if he gets it to the ground, I could see him not necessarily with the submission end, but I could definitely see him getting a KO ground and pound. I think it'll happen in the third round. So I'm going to go Dair Nergozi to get this done, even though he's a newcomer. You got to be careful with newcomers. That's a wide stretch in order for somebody coming in, but you kind of understand it after you watch him and then know what Ribeiro's weaknesses are. So I do think that Nergozi can get this done. We'll see. Newcomer to the UFC. I think the UFC kind of knows what they're doing here. Not saying that they don't like Brinson, but I think they know that they've got something special here. I think he's from Kazakhstan area, so they're trying to, obviously they've got some stars from that area. This could be another one to the UFC roster. I think he gets it done, but I think this could be a later round finish. Round 3 is what I'm going to think. Stephanie Luciano taking on Sam Hughes. I don't think much of Sam Hughes. I know she's had some decent victories in the UFC. Stephanie Luciano, on the other hand, I do kind of like the way she fights. She's a high volume striker. She's kind of good anywhere this could go. She does have decent takedown defense, and I think that Sam Hughes' main path to victory is going to have to be to get her to the ground and try and get control time, and I don't think she's going to be able to do it with Luciano. I think her movement's going to be too much. I think Luciano is going to get this done. Sam Hughes is tough. I don't see a finish in this fight, but I'm going to take Luciano by decision in this fight. There's not much that I really need to break down with this one. These are straightforward picks. I'm not wasting a lot of time here because to me, a lot of times there's just no reason to. If I had more to say on some of these, I would, but I think Luciano gets this done by decision. And check back with me and see if I was right. Waldo Cortez Acosta taking on Ryan Spann. Oh, I kind of did struggle with this one a little bit. This one, why I struggled with this one is the mere fact that Ryan Spann, these guys are right around that same age. Ryan Spann definitely has more wear and tear on the tires, so to speak. But this is a step up for him because he's going to heavyweight now. He's going to be in the heavyweight division. He's not going to be having to expend himself on any type of weight cut there. So when you have Waldo Cortez Acosta, who he's a decisionator, he's not knocking a lot of people out. And I don't think Spann's going to necessarily have a big threat as far as getting knocked out in this. I know he's been chinny before, but I think this is one. I think Spann is the more dangerous fighter. I'm not saying that he can get this to the ground. And if it goes long, that's where I start to worry. Acosta does have a good chin. It's going to be tough to knock him out, but if Spann uses his intelligence and he does what he should do, which if this is going to be a stand-up match, I feel like he is the better striker, and he hits a lot harder than Acosta does, in my opinion. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but I think Spann can get this done moving up in weight. I think he's going to have the speed. The one thing that I am, like I said, worried about is going to be the cardio end. Do you have the cardio to keep this where it needs to be for 3 rounds? We're going to see. I'm kind of going out on a limb here. I'm going Ryan Spann for the win. Next up, Su Young Yu taking on AJ Cunningham. And I don't know if my order is necessarily right on all of these. I tried to follow it as well as I could. Sung Young Yu is coming off of he's that road to the UFC up fighter that I've never really been a big on any of these fighters. As you just saw this last weekend, Ryu Suriyama taking on Josh Van. That was one that we had called because the level of competition just doesn't seem to be there for a lot of these guys. And when I watched you previously, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to hold Cunningham down on the ground if he does get it there. And Cunningham is not terrible when it comes to takedown defense. He is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. He's the bigger man in this by 4 inches. He's 5'10". Yu is 5'6". Not saying that Yu is not tough, but this is where I'll be completely blown away with how good Yu is. But I do not understand right now the odds in this one. To me, you're always going to have a little bit of an issue with the bigger man in a fight. And Cunningham is not a terrible striker. He does have speed. He's got pretty good precision. So this is another one. I don't see it with you. Even if anything, I think the odds are too wide. I don't think Cunningham should be taken this far down for a guy coming in off the road to the UFC type, where it's, I just don't trust that type of stuff. I know he did have one win there, but it's still, he's a lot of his competition. I'm not 100% sold on it. So I'm going with Cunningham in this. I'm going with the underdog. All right, we got Damon Blackshear taking on Cody Gibson. Both of these fighters are pretty well-rounded fighters. You've got Gibson, who obviously we know him from, I believe, The Ultimate Fighter. He was in The Ultimate Fighter. He has had a couple stints in the UFC, but he's coming back now. He's coming off. He's in his last little stint. He's 2-2, so he is coming off the 2 wins. Chad Analiger in his last one, and Brian Kelleher. Brian Kelleher is no longer in the UFC. I'm not even sure that Chad Analiger is in the UFC anymore. Blackshear, on the other hand, he is coming off his last match was a win, but he did have 2 losses before that. One to Mario Batista. You can't really lay anything on him. Mario Batista's a very high up contender in this division, so I'm not going to take anything away from him there. And then you have Montel Jackson, again, another dangerous fighter, and sometimes you just get caught, but he did come back in his last one. He got a submission over Cody Stamann. That one, yeah, I mean, you pretty much saw that he could win that fight. I think I had him in that fight. And in this one, it's almost the exact same stuff. I think he's just going to have I think he's going to be the better fighter in this. I think he's going to be faster. Definitely the younger fighter. There's no size advantage on either side here, but I think that he's going to be able to take the fight where he needs it to go. Blackshear, I'm going to take him for the win. Cody Gibson is tough, so I'm not necessarily seeing a finish in this fight, but I think Blackshear is going to have enough control time. I think he's going to outstrike him. We could see some surprises out of Gibson, but ultimately, I think Blackshear gets this done. I'm taking him by decision. Alexander Hernandez taking on Kurt Holloway. Not extremely impressed with either of these guys. Kurt Holloway is very tough. He's another one of these guys, I believe, who was on the Ultimate Fighter, the redemption season, or whatever they called it. The Alexander Hernandez, he's had his ups and downs in the UFC. He's been in there for a while now. He's managed to stay in there. Sometimes they kind of use him as a gauge to see where you're going to go with your career. If you're just going to go in and clean him up, they use him as almost like a testing piece. The last one that he had was against Austin Hubbard. He did get the win in there by split decision. Damon Jackson, he lost by split decision previously. And then Bill Algeo, he lost by unanimous decision. Jim Miller, he did get the win there, but he also lost to Billy Quarantillo. Some of these losses are not horrible that he's losing to. On the other hand, Kurt Holloway, the last match that he had, he did beat Kenan Krzyzewski, who was coming off that Contender Series, and I believe that was a short notice fight as well. Trey Ogden did he lost by unanimous decision to Kurt Holloway, which that's not a bad one right there. And he also did beat Austin Hubbard. So both of these wins do come off common opponents there. At least you have that to kind of judge, but I just think that I think Aaron Hernandez is kind of the guy that can get this done. I think he's got enough dog. Both these guys have a little bit of that dog in them, and I think that he's going to have the movement. I know Holloway's tough, and that's the one issue I have with it. But I think Hernandez gets this done. I think one of these guys is probably going to end up going to sleep or getting subbed. So if I was going to bet on this one, probably would take a Hernandez prop, maybe by finish, decision, no action, or something along those lines. But I wouldn't be too sure about that just because Holloway is tough, but weird shit sometimes seems to happen. So I'm not putting any money on this one, but it would definitely be prop hunting if I did. But like I said, Hernandez, I'll give it to him by the win, or by the finish, I mean. Sung Woo Choi taking on Kevin Vallejos. Vallejos is coming off of the Contender Series, where I want to say he actually lost his Contender Series match. Yeah, he did. He lost his Contender Series match. It was to Gene Silva, though, so you got to take that. He did go the distance with Gene Silva, so if that tells you anything, it definitely tells you that he's got a chin. He can withstand a beating if need be. And then he did his last Contender Series match. He did finish Cam Teague by KO. So Sung Woo Choi is coming in, not the greatest record in the UFC. He does have a win over Jarno Aarons, which does really surprise me to come in, but I think it was kind of one of those one-off nights, so to speak. You just come in and everything seems to go right. You look great. You have the perfect opponent. I don't think you're going to have the perfect opponent in Kevin Vallejos. I think he's very, very durable. I think he's very tough, and I think he hits hard. I think he's going to continuously come at you. And even though he is a newcomer to the UFC, I think they put him in a good spot here. I think they know what they're doing to push him. This is going to be one of those matches that you don't have to look too hard at it. I would say they want Kevin Vallejos to take this match, just for the simple fact it's one more young up and comer that they can push. Choi obviously is getting up there a little bit. He's 32 years old, and we are talking about the featherweight division. When you've got a 23-year-old from the Argentina region, it kind of tells you what they want to do with this. So that's a hot place to be right now. Kevin Vallejos is going to get this done, probably by knockout. I'm going to take Kevin Vallejos by knockout. All right, we got the co-main event. We got Chidi Njokuani taking on Elizeu Zaleski. Oh, I like both of these guys, honestly. When I first saw this fight, I thought Elizeu Zaleski. I honestly thought that he was the younger fighter, but come to my surprise, he is not. He is the older fighter by a couple of years, I believe. I believe he is 38 to 36 for Njokuani. Both of these guys, this is going to be a striker match. No, neither of these guys really focus on taking each other down. And this could be the one that you see going bonus hunting right here. Both of these guys are high-paced strikers. Zaleski's going to throw out a high volume, and Njokuani should try and match that volume. I look for this to be one of those matches that I'm just looking at where we're standing here. If Njokuani doesn't have a problem with this weight cut, 6'3", 80-inch reach. Okay, if this is a stand-up match, you've got a 7-inch reach advantage. That's going to be tough to get across, and you've got a 4-inch height advantage. I just think with the striking prowess that Njokuani does carry, he's going to be dangerous. Zaleski, not to say that he is not going to be dangerous, but I think that the stuff that he's going to throw out there is Njokuani's going to get a read on it pretty quick and figure out where it's coming from. And sometimes it can get a little bit elongated. And I think Njokuani is going to be able to counter a lot of the stuff that Zaleski's going to throw out there. I think he's going to end up getting a knockout, but I think it's going to be late or decision. I would go late round knockout with Njokuani or decision. I think he gets this done against Elizeu Zaleski, even though I like both of them. But yeah, I just think he's the better fighter in this. All right, here is the main event. This one's already taken place once, and we know that Marvin Vettori was victorious in that matchup. Marvin Vettori taking on Roman Dolidze. There is rumors going around, and obviously it's probably known that Marvin Vettori has had some type of shoulder injury not too long ago. So you start hearing these little rumblings about shoulder injuries and whatnot, him needing money, what. Maybe he does. I have no idea, but I can tell you in this particular matchup, and this is going back to last week, the same reason that I made a pick there where we hadn't seen somebody come in and fight in a long time. And this is no different. We're seeing Marvin Vettori come off, I believe, from a year and 8-month layoff. That's when you kind of get me, and I'm not sure because Roman Dolidze has been pretty active. Yeah, a year and 8 months is the last time you fought, and you got dominated by Jared Cannonier. Not saying that Roman Dolidze is going to be better, but your last win is against Roman Dolidze, and that was a unanimous decision. I'm not sure it's going to be the same method. Obviously, you're going to learn some things from Dolidze. Vettori, I'm sure, has to be coming in thinking that he's confident he can get this done again in almost the exact same fashion. But I'm not impressed with the wins necessarily the Dolidze's had because he's facing some pretty winnable opponents for his style. But he has fought some high level competition, even though he did lose. That's the one thing. He does tend to lose decisions a lot. That's the main thing, that when you see a lot of his fights, if he's not getting a decision, if he's not getting his hand raised by KO, then a lot of times, with the exception of his fight against Anthony Smith, he usually does go to decision and he usually does lose. If that's the case with this one, Marvin Vettori will probably win this fight. Dolidze is going to have to get some takedowns. He's going to have to mix it up. And he's going to have to definitely put the pressure on with his striking, walk Vettori down, or otherwise you're going to get Vettori consistently walking you down. And we know that a wrestler trying to get takedowns, especially if you're Dolidze, you're not going to be very successful if you're constantly going backwards. So he's going to have to figure out a way to move forward. He's going to have to figure out a way to put the pressure on Vettori. Ultimately, this is a scary pick. I would say go like over 1.5, over 2.5 rounds in this fight, because I think it will get there. But I think this is going to be another decision, and it's all going to be up to Dolidze whether or not he gets the takedowns or not. I am going to take in this matchup because I am scared of the layoff. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm scared of a year and 8-month layoff. I was scared about it last week, and it worked out. I'm scared about it this week. We'll see how it goes down and see, if we get lucky, maybe we get that one in the bag. But, I'm probably not going to go too heavy on this card overall. We had a good week. I'm just trying to keep that going, that momentum going, and we'll try and build on that. But I hope you have enjoyed this breakdown. This has been a quick one. We're keeping it in that pocket right there for you, coming at you again. We'll come back at you, and I will try and update with some bets as the week goes. Like I said, I may not go heavy on this. We will see. I am also going to include my Instagram. We do have Be All In Sports on Instagram, and I usually will. Well, I always do post my bets when I put them up there. I will post them up there and let you know what they are, so you'll get them immediately. Go over there, check them out. Hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you're thinking about these picks. Hopefully we cash some big money again this week. If you were upset about last weekend's video and didn't get to watch that because you couldn't stand it, totally understand. We'll get better at that shit. But until then, thanks for tuning in again. I will see you soon. Have a good week.